Hi everyone, this is Lizelle Bitobal, and for today's video, I am going to share to you the learnings I have learned in Chapter 1, which talks about summative assessment. So, we are now going to talk about summative assessment. So, let us define first what is summative assessment. So, summative assessment, these are the assessments administered at the end of an instruction unit in a course. So, these assessments are intended to evaluate the students' learning or how much they have learned through your discussions and instructional materials or throughout the entire course. So these are the specific things that summative assessments can be used, or these are the functions of summative assessments. So we can use summative assessments to monitor our learners regarding with their learnings or regarding with the status of their knowledge intended for that specific course. So we can also use these assessments as we can document all those outcomes in order for us to make reports to the parents to give documentations on the background of the student learning's performance. And also we can use this not just for the learners but also to evaluate the teachers itself. So, planning summative assessment. So, the first step in constructing a classroom summative assessment is to review the criteria for high quality assessments. So, these are the some specific questions that we need to answer in order for us to produce a high quality type of assessment. So, high quality assessments are needed in order for us to produce outcomes that are also high quality. So, we can make use of these questions in order for us to have assurance that we are actually producing the quality assessments that we need to have or we need to give to the learners. So some of these are there clear and appropriate learning targets? So learning targets are needed when it comes to making of assessment, because we will not administer assessments that are beyond our learning target. So these assessments again are intended to evaluate the learner's learning with that course. So we need to make sure that our assessment fit in to the learning targets. So let's proceed to the next one. So number and length of assessment. So these includes these two. So how many separate assessments will be given and how long each one will be. So this will depend on the several factors such as the age of the students, length of classes, and type of questions. So we need also to consider upon making this type of assessment on how many assessment we need to give in order for us to have an outcome that evaluates the learner's learnings. So for example is for this entire chapter, we will give only one assessment with 50 questions with multiple choice and essay type. So that is an example of the this number and length of assessment. So for the factors, we need to consider the age of the students. So age of the students affect the length of classes. So for example, for the first graders, they only need to take the assessment 5 to 10 minutes. So that is why age needs to be considered upon planning and implementing this type of assessment. And the next one would be length of classes. As we now consider the age of the students, we need to consider also the length of classes, because we need to make sure that the learners can answer all those things within the entire period of time without them feeling anxious with the given assessment. And then the last will be the types of question. So for the types of questions, we can have the subjective or objective types. So they need to be considered, because through identifying what type of questions we will be using, we can now measure what length we will give to the learners in order for them to complete the given assessment. upon administering this type of assessment, we also need to prepare our learners for them to be knowledgeable enough upon taking this type of assessment. So these are the checklist for preparing students for classroom summative assessment. So first is we have teach assessment taking and test wiseness skills. Second is we have familiarize students with test length, format, and types of questions. Third is we have teach to the test and do not teach the test. Fourth is we have share the assessment blueprint. Fifth is we have review before the assessment. Sixth is we have tell students when the assessment is scheduled and how long it will take. And then the last thing is make sure students have the technical skills needed to be proficient with digitally administered exams. So through this, the students will now be prepared to take the examination without getting anxious, for they are well oriented by the teachers or the person in charge. So here are the examples of summative assessment. First is the chapter test. So it is intended to measure chapter concept mastery and allow students to review their learnings through this type of test. This will happen or is located at the end of each chapter. Next is the final assessment. So it is the last activity each learner must be able to complete, as this assesses students' knowledge of the course. All of these assessments must be carefully planned and have enough time to be prepared so that it can produce the quality outcome of the learning targets that needs to be assessed. And that's it for this vlog, and thank you for watching.